Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Juno.
My name is Melanie.
And my name is Ishu.
We are Master of Professional Kinesiology students from University of Toronto. And thank you so much for joining us for our webinar, Moving Optimally today. Your health coaches have received a lot of feedback that many of you are interested in learning more about exercising at home. So we have designed this webinar to help you integrate foundational aspects of movement that you can apply in your workouts and in your daily life. Just a quick reminder that during this webinar, your mics will be muted and cameras off. If you have any technical issues, please type them into a chat box and the webinar host will help you. If you have any questions for us, please type them into the Q&A section, which you can find at the bottom of the screen. As a reminder, this webinar does include an interactive movement component. If you do choose to practice any of the exercises with us, please recognize that while there are benefits to exercising, there is also a possibility of injury. If at any point during your participation you start to feel faint, dizzy, or have any physical discomfort, you should stop immediately. And if the symptoms persist, you should seek medical help. Have a chair close by to allow you to sit should you require a break, and have some water and a towel handy. Please use your own judgment in selecting exercises that are safe for your ability and fitness level, and work within your own means. Without further ado, let's get it started. So by the end of this webinar, we hope that you understand more about safety concerns when exercising, the 7 key features of all body movements that will help you to maintain proper postures during daily activities, as well as functional benefits of specific exercises, and at-home exercise ideas they can perform with household items. And here is our agenda for today. We'll start with an introduction, safety considerations, and move into key features that each one of us will further explain later in the presentation. We will end the presentation and open up to the chat to any questions that arise. So, what does it mean for you guys to move optimally? We want you to share some of your examples that you think in the chat box below. And while you guys are typing your answers away, I will share some examples of what's not moving optimally. Have you ever pulled a muscle when you reach for an object in the backseat of your car, or hurt your back when you are lifting a piece of furniture up? This may be because your posture was not proper for the movement that you are performing, or you were not moving properly. Yeah, I see some very good answers coming in, and some of you said moving properly means moving as far as it's comfortable for you without pain. And that's a very good example. Some of you guys said build muscle and cardio strength without injury. That's one way to go about it. Moving with joints properly aligned. Good. It seems like you guys have a pretty good understanding of what it's mean to move optimally. And next, we are going to hand this over to Yushu, and she's gonna go over the importance of moving optimally.
So why is it crucial for us to move optimally? Think about how many times you bend over to pick up something in a day. It could be a piece of paper, or your grandchild, or a bag of grocery. Fact is that we repeat these movements every day, and that puts a lot of stress on the lower back. So if you don't have the proper movement technique and you repeat that movement for 100 times every day, chances are you might have chronic lower back issue down the line. So the purpose of this webinar today is to teach you how to move optimally so that you have less risk of injury or joint pain during exercise or in your daily life, and therefore promoting a better quality of life. And the tools that we will teach you to help you achieve that is the 7 key features. But before we dive into the 7 key features, let's go over a few safety considerations when exercising.
So we all know that optimal nutrition can help you to get the most out of your workout. So here are some very general recommendations. And please do remember that we are not registered dietitians. So if you have any specific personal questions, please consult with a registered dietitian. We recommend you to eat approximately 2 hours prior to exercise, and have a meal or snack that's rich in complex carbohydrates, moderate in lean protein, lower in fat and fiber. And some examples include oatmeal with berries, few nuts, with low-fat Greek yogurt, and water. Or chicken with brown rice, green beans, and unsweetened tea, or a turkey and cheese sandwich on whole wheat bread with lettuce, tomatoes, avocado, fruit, and water. And after exercise, we recommend to replenish and eat within 45 minutes after exercise. You should consume a meal or a snack with carbs and protein. Some examples include low-fat chocolate milk, or vanilla yogurt with fruit and honey, smoothie made with low-fat milk, whey protein, and fruit.
Make sure to keep a water bottle with you during this exercise in case you get thirsty and need to hydrate. It is important to drink water when you're working hard and sweating. At any time point during an exercise you feel you need to drink water, feel free to take a sip and resume back.
You might also experience delayed onset of muscle soreness. You might feel soreness and stiffness in the muscle groups that you worked out. Say you climbed stairs today, then your legs and glutes might be sore the next day. This is because your muscle fibers actually break down under stress during exercise, and your body has to take time to repair these micro damages, which is completely normal. So typically, the soreness starts after a day after workout and disappears within 3 days. The specific response time and severity could be very different among people. But if you feel any pain or discomfort during the workout, you're probably having acute muscle soreness and you should stop the exercise immediately. Otherwise, it is completely normal to feel sore even if you're doing exercise regularly. So what can you do if you get the delayed muscle soreness? Research so far is still inconclusive, but there are a few modalities that may help ease the soreness. You can take ice baths or get a massage, or simply go walking or jogging, since low-intensity steady cardio has also shown to relieve soreness. And now we will talk about the 7 key features of all body movements. There are 7 key features for all body movements, and these are the 7 aspects of body movement you should pay attention to as you move, whether you're exercising or moving about in your daily activities. These key features of movements emphasize proper form and technique for movements and exercise in a way that the body moves safely. These features focus on 3 body parts: the shoulders, the back, and the knee. We focus on these 3 body parts because they're involved in the majority of the movements that we do. Think about when you're walking, or vacuuming, or playing basketball, or gardening. These activities all require changes in position of these 3 body parts. As we engage in these body movements, we want them to be done in a safe way that reduces the probability of injury. You can do this by paying attention to how you move these body parts. We're now going to demonstrate the proper movement technique of these 7 key features. If you like, you can follow along these exercises, and if you do, please remember that we can't see you, so exercise within your own skills. The first 2 key features we'll be talking about are related to shoulders. It is important to have the shoulders back and down in your workout and daily activities, such as pulling the door open or picking up the box. Practicing these movement key features can increase your upper body's functional strength, reduce risk of shoulder injury, back and neck pain, and also improve your posture. You want to keep your shoulders back when you move or exercise. However, it does not mean squeeze your shoulder blades together. It means keeping your chest proud, engage your shoulder blades, and limit how far your elbow goes back. You want to make sure that your elbow and shoulder are moving in the same direction. All the push exercises and pushing movements are closely related to this key feature. Here, let's use push-up as an example. In this picture, Juno is doing a knee push-up, and the red line here shows you the position of her shoulder and elbow joint. Notice how far her elbow goes with respect to her shoulder. It is not pulled too far back, that will make her shoulder come forward. Now Juno will demonstrate the proper and improper form of a push-up for us. Let's switch to the camera. Hi, Juno. Now Juno will show us the correct form first with her hands right underneath shoulders. She's pulling her shoulder blades back, engaging her core, maintaining a neutral spine. Great. Now we'll do 3 repetitions. Notice how her elbow does not pass her shoulder too much. That looks awesome. Now Juno will show us the improper form. Hands right underneath shoulder, core engaged, back is nice and neutral. However, she's not engaging her shoulder blades this time. And notice how her shoulders have come forward. One more rep. Yeah, and that her elbow is pulled too far back, that they're moving in the opposite direction. Thank you, Juno. If push-up on knees is too easy for you, you can perform standard push-up from your toes. And Juno will also demonstrate that for us. Awesome. And if push-up on knees is too hard for you, you can perform push-up on the wall. Notice how her shoulder and elbow position is. Great. And you can also do the inclined push-up on a chair or bench if you have knee problems. That looks great. Thanks, Juno. So the other key feature related to shoulder is keeping shoulders down. This means keeping your shoulders away from your ears. The distance between your ears and shoulders should be the same as when you're standing. If you feel or see your shoulders are elevated, then relax and let them fall back into their normal position. And keep your elbows down and close to your sides. All the pull exercises and pulling movements are related to this key feature. Here in this picture, Juno is performing a towel pull apart. Notice how the distance between her ears and shoulders does not change. Let's switch to the camera and Juno will demonstrate this exercise live for us. Hi again. Now, Juno, I want you to relax your shoulder and grab the towel at both ends and hold it at your shoulder height. Great. Engage your shoulder blades and pull the towel towards your chest. Awesome. Keep your elbows down about 45 degrees to your body. Now, Juno will show us the back view. Look how her shoulders are relaxed, shoulders are down. Great. And now she will show us the common mistake for comparison. Grab the towel, hold it at shoulder height. Now she's having very tense shoulders from working at her desk all day. So her shoulders are naturally elevated towards her ears. That's gotta be uncomfortable for you. So by being mindful of this key feature, Juno will consciously set her shoulders down when doing this pull exercise or any pulling movements. Thank you, Juno. That's great. Now here's a question on the 2 shoulder features that we just talked about. So which activity involves keeping the shoulders down and back? We'll give you about 30 seconds to think and feel free to pop your answers in the chat box. All right, we're seeing a lot of D here, and D is correct. So all the above movements activities are involved. So all 3 examples are related, but there are a lot more scenarios where we should keep this in mind. It could be any activity, either carrying the basket or pushing the shopping cart or the baby stroller, or simply working on your computer. We encourage you to be mindful and practice these two key features to improve movement quality in your daily life. Now we'll turn the table to Juno, and she will be talking about key features related to back.
Thank you so much, Yushu. So the next set of key features I'm going to talk about are related to your back. So keeping a proper back curvature is very important in your daily activities. For instance, you want to keep your back straight when you're picking up groceries and avoid twisting in your trunk when you're mopping or sweeping the floor to protect your spinal health. And when you lift something up without a proper back posture, you're exposing certain parts of the body that's not accustomed to handle the excessive stress, and therefore increasing your risk of lower back injuries. Practicing these key features helps you to protect your lower back. And the key feature I'm going to talk about is having a straight back. So we are going to perform a good morning to demonstrate what a straight back looks like. A good morning is essentially an exercise where you bend through your hips. It's a very functional exercise, and actually, when you're picking something up from the ground, you are actually performing a portion of the good morning exercise. So we're going to ask Melanie to demonstrate. There you go. Hi, Melanie. And Melanie is going to take her feet shoulder width apart and bend at her hips while keeping her trunk stiffened. As you guys can see, she is bending through her hips, not her torso. If you draw a line between her shoulders and her hips, it's straight. Thank you, Melanie. A common mistake that I see people make when performing this exercise is having too much rounded in their back. Melanie will show you what a rounded back looks like in a good morning. As you guys can see, there is an excessively rounded curvature on her back now instead of a straight line. To fix that issue, she's going to keep her chest open, embrace her core, and bend through her hips to achieve a straight back. Thank you, Melanie, that's good. I highly encourage you guys to film yourself or check yourself in the mirror to see if you're performing these exercises properly. And if you think that the body weight good morning is too easy for you, you can add more weights to your good morning. And Melanie's going to turn on her camera again. And she's going to get 2 water bottles and hold them up at the shoulder level and perform a good morning. Good. See how straight her back still is? Thank you, Melanie. So just a safety reminder that you should always brace your core when you are doing this exercise. Otherwise, you will increase your risk of injury or hurting yourself. And if you have issues reaching a full range of motion, you can just bend your hips as much as you can and without causing any pain. And the next set of key feature I want to talk about is having no trunk twisting or shoulder dipping. There you go. And what that means is that when you are performing these exercises, you want to keep your knees, hips, and shoulders in line and keep your shoulders stacked over your elbow or wrist. So we are going to ask Melanie again to demonstrate what a side bridge on knees to see what these key features look like. Melanie is going to lay on her side, bend her knees, stack her feet on top of each other, and place her hand right underneath her shoulders. If you guys are following along and you guys have wrist problems, you can just place your elbows underneath your shoulders instead. And she's going to lift her hips up. There you go. As you guys can see, if you draw a line between Melanie's shoulders and a line between her hips, those 2 lines are parallel to each other. That means her hips and shoulders are in line. Her shoulders are nicely stacked over her wrist, and no one shoulder is higher than the other. Melanie, you can relax now. Thank you. Some very common mistake I see people do when they're doing this exercise is twisting their trunk, or dipping their shoulders, or the combination of both. Melanie, if you can perform what a twisted trunk looks like and what the proper form looks like. Twisted, proper form. See, when her trunk is twisted, her shoulders and hips are no longer parallel. And to fix that issue, she can simply open her chest up, lift her hips up towards the ceiling. Another issue is shoulder dipping. Melanie will show us what shoulder dipping looks like and what the proper form looks like. When her shoulders are dipping, one shoulder is higher than the other. And to fix that issue, she can simply make sure that her supporting arm is fully extended and is placed right underneath her shoulder. Good job, you can relax now. If a side bridge is too easy for you, you can perform a side bridge on your toes, and Melanie's gonna show us what it looks like. And she can also place her top foot in front of the other for balance, like so, and hand underneath shoulder, hips towards ceiling. You can try this variation out to see if you can still keep your trunk and hips aligned and shoulders parallel to your hips. You can relax now, Melanie, thank you. If you have trouble holding a side bridge on your knees for a long time, you can just hold it for as long as you can. And eventually you will build up the endurance and strength. Just take baby steps. And now we have a question for you guys. So take some time to look at the questions and answers. What does straight back mean? We have a lot of answers coming in, that's good. Okay, so the answer is actually A, no excessive rounding or arching in the back. So your straight back is more about having no accentuated curvatures. So we're gonna hand this over to Melanie now.
So the last two key features are involving the knee. Using your knees in daily life. Have you ever thought about how much we need our knees? Think about activities such as running with your dog or playing basketball. They both cause impact on our knees. By learning the key features, it will promote safety and help support your body weight during these activities. Simple things such as walking properly might seem silly, but if you're walking with your knee out of line from your hip, it can alter the impact of the weight distribution in your body. Therefore, other body parts will compensate for that, which can lead into injuries. The first key feature I want to talk about is related to the knee. When performing an exercise like a lunge, we want to keep proper form. By this I mean, we want the ankle, the knee, and the hips to be in line with each other. In addition, we do not want the knee to go past the ankle. A great way to think about the exercise is to grip the floor with your toes. Push the knees out and point the knees in the direction of your toes. Now we will switch the camera to Yushu, who will be demonstrating a static lunge. Hi, Yushu. I would like you to start with your feet together and take one large step forward with your right foot. From this position, you would lower your body by bending the back knee as your back heel would lift off. Perfect. So through this movement, ensure that your front knee is stacked over your ankle and not passing your toes. Thank you, Yushu. If this is too difficult, a regression would be to hold the wall or chair for support. Thank you, Yushu. Moving on to something more challenging would be to perform a forward lunge. This requires more stability and control when performing the movement. Thank you, Yushu, for demonstrating. We'll move now into the second key feature. This is going to focus on keeping our weight in the middle of our foot. This helps ensure that when performing an exercise like a squat, we do not creep onto our toes or heels, which will result in us losing our balance. Key things to remember when performing the exercise is to push through the floor, grip the floor with the toes, and bend at the hips when leaning forward. Now we will be switching back to the camera on Yushu, who will be demonstrating a bodyweight squat. Hi, Yushu. So Yushu, I would like you to start with your feet hip width apart and slowly lower your body until you reach about 90 degrees in your knees. Perfect. It is okay if you're unable to get this low. I want you to reach a depth that is comfortable for you. When performing the exercise, notice how her heels and toes remain on the floor and are not shifting. Thank you, Yushu. If this is too difficult, you can regress the exercise by holding onto a wall or a chair for support. Thank you, Yushu. If you want something more challenging, adding a weighted backpack when performing the squat, this will challenge your stability and control in the movement. Thank you, Yushu, for demonstrating. Now we're going to move into the question. So which body parts involve triple alignment? Is it A, ankles, knees, and hips, or B, toes, ankle, and knee? I'll give you guys a few seconds to answer in the chat box. All right, I see a few answers coming in. The correct answer is A. So thank you all for your responses. To wrap up today's webinar, we want you to keep in mind the 7 key features of movement. And by practicing them in your daily life, you will achieve better movement quality, prevent injury, improve posture, and it will also ensure that you exercise safely and efficiently, as well as moving optimally. Thank you for listening and engaging in our webinar. We hope you enjoyed and learned something new. We now will answer any questions you guys might have. Feel free to ask in the Q&A section. We will not be able to answer your specific personal questions, only general recommendations.
Okay, so we have one question. And one participant asked if it's impossible to eat 2 hours before exercise, what would be the best thing to eat while starting to play or exercise? So that's a very good question. I know many of you guys probably cannot eat like 2 hours before. So some of us might exercise at 6 o'clock in the morning and it's almost impossible to eat 2 hours before, right? So the recommendation that we gave are very general. So it's okay that you can eat less than 2 hours before your exercise session, but just keep in mind that the closer you are to your exercise session, your snack size should be a little bit smaller and more digestible. You guys want to add anything on that? I hope that answered your question.
Well, there's a question popping up in the Q&A asking, is there any equipment required to participate in the upcoming fitness class? And the answer is no. This is no equipment, only body weight exercise class. So you don't need anything. Maybe a chair or mat, towel, if you have, and that's the only thing.
And someone asked, will this webinar be available for viewing later? And yes, this webinar will be recorded.
It is recorded and it will be posted in the health library shortly after. Juno, when you said like a light meal before workout, like when they can't have a meal 2 hours before, yes, so a banana or a cup of milk if you like, or I personally eat one slice of bread and that's enough for me. Yeah. The question about how often should you do body weight exercises? That's a great question. Yeah, as far Under the current circumstance, we don't have access to gym, so we can only do body weight exercises. And so general recommendations is to perform exercise 3 to 5 times per week, but make sure you accumulate about 150 minutes per week. So that's about 3 hours and 3.5 hours per week. You can split the time up into 3 sessions a week, 4 or 5 if you like. If that answers your question.
There's a question on what does it mean to use weights safely? By that, we just mean we want to make sure that if you have any certain pains within like your wrists or your knees, that you are taking precautions to not add added weights to it. And you just kind of know and understand how your body works. And if anything, I would definitely recommend going to your docs or any practitioners to make sure that you are in the right weight to use or not to use weights.
So there is a question about if there are any sites that we can recommend for exercise classes or routine. So currently we are working on a list of routines that you guys can follow along. So that's in the work right now, and I'm assuming that those routines will be available to you guys later on. So I think the best thing to do is to ask your health coach about it. Thank you for the question.
The question around if it's okay to run on pavement, I would definitely, it depends on if there's any pain within you have in your knees or ankles. It also depends on the type of shoes. So I would definitely recommend going to your doctor or a orthotics just to see which shoes is right for you, because we are unable to give you full answers for that.
So there is a question about if you should hold the plank beyond the point where you start to shake. So we want to hold the plank as long as you can maintain all the key features. That means keep your back relatively straight, no dipping your hips, not like too high up, and shoulders down and all that. A little shaking is very normal, but just make sure that you are keeping your core tight and not rounded or arching your back.
Yeah, and to add to that, I would also say if you're starting to not feel it in your core anymore, then you're no longer working your core, and I would recommend not resuming past that time point.
There's a question from Jim asking about, is it good to work hard enough to feel DOMS because no pain, no gain? Very good question. I would say it depends, because DOMS is just very normal for people, even if you're exercising regularly, and maybe if you do a different type of workout, then you still get the DOMS. So it is not necessarily a good thing to have it all the time, but I would say it really depends on how individual's body function and it's how much stress your muscle tissue can handle. And the research so far is still inconclusive. So I wouldn't say you have to get the DOMS to feel like you've been doing anything. Yeah, so it wasn't the absolutely necessary to get DOMS in order to prove that you have you achieved something.
So one last question. So because we are short on time, so one person asked, how would you alter any of the exercises for arthritic knee? We don't know the origin or the severity of your knee arthritis. So I don't think it's fair for us to give you a specific recommendation. But I think when you're definitely feeling pain, I don't think it's a good time. When your joints are inflamed, you should not exercise. But if to get like very specific recommendations, we recommend you to go to a healthcare professional or certified registered kinesiologist to have a full assessment.
Yeah, that's the questions we have time for. I hope you guys enjoyed it.
And thank you so much for coming. We appreciate your engagement, and it's really cool to see you guys here and like very engaging and eager to share your answers. Thank you so much.